Okay, so here's a view that most people don't get very often. This is the inside of your Mercruiser Alpha 1 Outdrive. And what you've got here is this is the gimbal bearing. It's where the drive shaft comes through. I'll show you that separately on once when the unit is off. And then you've got the exhaust bellows down here. This pipes the exhaust from the motor out through this flexible hose into the outdrive so it can come out the center of the propeller. This is the shift cable. This particular one's been cut off because it's being replaced, but it has rubber bellows over it to keep water sealed out. And then the last main thing of note, this is the water tube that takes water from the impeller in the outdrive unit and pumps it up here into the motor area. That's what cools the motor before it gets pumped out the exhaust. And this whole assembly here is what holds the rest of the outdrive and turns as you turn the steering wheel. So this is the outdrive that came off that boat, and starting at the top, this is the drive shaft that goes through the upper hole in that I showed you in the outdrive. It's got a flexible U-joint there, which allows for the outdrive to move as it gets tilted up and down, and then as you steer left and right. This joint, or the series of joints, allows power transfer through there, just like you'd have on a rear-wheel drive truck. This is the exhaust port that the exhaust gas is coming through that flexible bellows that I showed you earlier. Goes in there, gets pumped down the body, down, and then out the center of the propeller, or around the center of the propeller. These are the water intake ports. Typically the water level is up about here, so the water goes in here, gets pulled up right about in here is where you have your impeller that pulls the water up and then pushes it out, and it connects to that hose that I showed you earlier. So the U-joint normally sits about like this, and it can move through its range as the boat steers left and right and the trim moves up and down. There is a bellows, a rubber bellows that fits over all of this to protect the grease that you can see on each of these joints. You don't want water in there washing that out, and if the rubber bellows gets torn, water gets inside there, and that's exactly what happens. Oh! These are the hydraulic rams that connect to the outdrive that would normally be sitting or attached back here. And as the hydraulic fluid is pumped into those from your trim control, these will either expand and get longer, pushing the outdrive up, or contract and get smaller to pull the outdrive down, depending on exactly what you want for trim.